The Mafia franchise is one that's been rocky as of late. Ever since the absolute disappointment that was Mafia 3, it's safe to say the series hasn't been in the best of positions. Hangar 13's Mafia 3 and subsequent remasters and remakes of older games are quite telling as to their competence with creating anything. 2K Czech were behind Mafia and Mafia 2, two games that are considered very good experiences. Mafia 2 of course being a favourite for most. Now coming into 2020, Hangar 13 plan to release the Mafia trilogy, including Mafia 3, a remaster of Mafia 2, and a full from the ground up remake of the original Mafia. In the year that the astounding Final Fantasy VII Remake was released, this would have a lot to live up to. Now, I personally was really looking forward to the Mafia remake. I honestly was. I'm a huge fan of Mafia 2 and the Mafia genre in general, whether it's movies, games, TV, whatever. I'm a huge fan of organised crime. Not actual organised crime, Jesus. But it looked as if they were learning from their mistakes. Mafia 3 had come out 4 years prior, and surely this game wouldn't have the same issues. Surely. Here we fucking go, I guess. But before all that, this video is brought to you by the Ridge wallet. Is your old wallet falling apart, unnecessarily big, old? Well, Ridge has got you covered. It holds up to 12 cards with a clip for cash on the back, and there's over 30 colors. You got your carbon fiber, you've got your burnt titanium, you've got your forged carbon, anything you want. Personally, I went with the matte black because I like the sleek and simple look. It's incredibly durable, and each wallet comes with a lifetime warranty, so effectively you could use the same wallet for the rest of your life. And they also provide a service that allows you to test drive for 45 days, so if you aren't happy, you can send it back for a full refund, so it can't even hurt to give one a go. There's a reason they have over 30,000 5-star reviews though. And on top of that, don't forget the RFID blocking technology, which protects against digital pickpocketing, which is a huge benefit. If you're interested, head to my link in the description, ridge.com/lasers, and use code lasers for 10% off at the checkout. That's ridge.com/lasers and using code lasers for 10% off. So the Mafia remake is set in the 1930s. We play as the protagonist, Tommy Angelo, as he makes his way up one of the crime families of the fictional city, Lost Heaven. This segment will contain spoilers for the entire story, so skip to the timestamp on screen to avoid any potential spoilers. The story of this game is, to put it simply, lackluster. Now let me explain my major gripes. First thing is the setup. Now Tommy goes from being a cab driver to a high-up member of the Mafia. You'd expect this to be a gradual change across the game, however, it's not. One day he's a cab driver, accidentally gets involved with the Salieri family. Next day he's called a Salieri boss, and it really is that simple, and it's hilariously bad. There's no reason for me to believe this makes a modicum of sense, especially when he's scared shitless of them during their first encounter. Next moment he's running from some goons who smashed up his car, and he's ready to torch their shit, beat them up, and then literally be brought into the family right away. It's also dumb as shit from Salieri. You literally don't know this dude. He did one job for you, and now he's sitting with your right and left hand men alongside your major advisor. Dude, I think we need to teach you a lesson on a way to put your trust in people. Supposedly, in the original, his decision to join the Mafia is forced upon him. It's either join these guys or die, which would make way more sense, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. We've also got this major subplot of Tommy having more humanity than everybody else. The first time he sees someone die as part of what he does, he's all, I saw the cost of this line of work, but I couldn't go back to being a nobody. But when did they ever establish Tommy cared about being a nobody? When was that ever a core trait of Tommy's character? He also never has huge aspirations at all. Even when he's in the Mafia, he's very content just doing as he's told. He never really has a want to do more, which his mates always do. It's never set up that Tommy really gives a shit about his social or financial standing, so it never felt like that line went anywhere. We also then have this further moment where he's sent to kill some guys. Once he's up close to it and has to kill someone, he can't bring himself to do it, and so Paulie does it for him. Again, displaying this character trait that Tommy isn't like the others, and that he almost isn't cut out for all of this. But it's never even an issue. It's never even brought up, and it never affects his life at all. You've got this brought up again and again over the course of the game. When planting a bomb to get to a guy, he accidentally kills an innocent woman, and then again he stops his mate from gunning down another innocent bystander. It shows that he has a good heart and that he finds violence and killing too much. Oh, never mind, he's a stone cold killer. He allows Frank to leave with his wife, which his boss finds out about, and he lets the girl Sam was sleeping with get away with her life too, which his boss finds out about, but it never actually affects his life. The only thing that ever gets him fucked is when he dared to dream a little bit bigger than before and rob the bank with Paulie, and even then it only fucked him over because Sam is a little bitch who told on him. Tommy's actions, whether noble or not, never actually have any bearing on his life or who he is. There's never any development or growth of who he is as a person and how that affects his journey. They also never do anything with the fact that he's different from the others, the fact that he's not about killing and doing all of this stuff, the fact that he's got a bit more humanity. Maybe you could say that the reason he ended up wanting to screw over Salieri and get out of the family with Paulie is due to that character trait, but they never link the two together, so really it never actually goes anywhere as a subplot. Not to mention the fact that none of his friends even feel like friends. The only one I'd say genuinely felt like a mate at times was Paulie. Him and Tommy seemed like they get along, and there were moments where you're like, yeah, these two could actually be friends, and that's cool. So when he dies, it does hit you a little bit. Not hugely, because we're jumping years at a time, so there's a lack of development, but I still felt something. Sam, on the other hand, he's always just sort of there. He's never shown as a good friend. We've never seen any chemistry between Sam and Paulie or Sam and Tommy. He's just knocking about, and so when he betrayed us, I thought, yeah, that makes sense. I have no issues killing you. And even at the end, when Tommy is struggling to pull the trigger because he doesn't want to kill his friend, I was like, dude, just kill the guy. When did you ever spend time together? Sam even goes to mention one of the good old days, and the writers couldn't even come up with a fake scenario where they were friends, and so Tommy just pulls the trigger anyway. It's so ridiculously contrived. And that's just sad. The fact that I didn't care for any of these characters is sad because I really honestly wanted to. I did, but I couldn't find any reason to actually give a shit. And complaining is all well and good, but let me give you a few ways they could have streamlined this narrative. First off, fit in the original reason Tommy joins the Mafia. He's forced to. Either he dies or he joins this life of crime. Not only does that connect us to the character, but it helps us relate to why he's doing this. On top of that, it fuels his mindset for not being able to pull the trigger. It fuels his mindset of caring for people who get caught in the line of fire. But at the same time, you can build up that he starts to enjoy what he's doing. He likes robbing. He likes having power. He likes making money. He enjoys organized crime. And slowly but surely, he can't turn his back on this because this is who he is now. He's finally found identity in his life. Take that one step further and you find that Tommy, who started out as someone too empathetic to pull the trigger on someone who's almost dead, ends up being able to do so because of the exact same reasons. He's just too empathetic. He's too loyal to family. Not to a code, but to his family and friends, people he's actually close to. He's loyal to Paulie, he's loyal to his wife, and he's loyal to his daughter. You can bring it full circle when he kills Sam because he did it out of the care for people close to him. The same character trait that stopped him from pulling the trigger originally makes him pull the trigger now. He doesn't want his family to be hurt, and that's what gives him the strength to kill Sam. He goes from finding identity in this life of crime to finding identity in his close family, and it all comes full circle, but of course leads to his demise. It's tragic yet also sweet, and allows his final words to his family mean so much more given the previous context. Instead, however, we're left with a half-baked narrative, near to no development or growth, and characters I sadly didn't care for one bit within a structure that's just events happening across the course of a 6-year period, rather than a cohesive story with meaningful character drama. A remake should be faithful to the source material whilst improving on it. There's a reason Final Fantasy VII Remake is one of the best, if not the best of all time, because it asks the question not, how do we make the original look better, but what if we made this game today? A remake is a remake for a reason. You don't just release the same game with prettier graphics, you aspire to improve every element down to the base narrative structure, and sadly, they didn't do that here. Let's talk about the way the game plays. First off, we have my favourite aspect being the driving. The way the cars drive feels great, and this was also one of the best parts of Mafia 3. The driving is lovely, each car feels different, it's satisfying to move around corners and weave in and out of cars. I really enjoyed this. Any mission with a car chase or a race or anything was great fun. Even driving to your initial objective is probably the best part of every level, and that's really where the game shines. Now, the gunplay is another story. The aiming and firing is quite simply dreadful. People like to criticize Red Dead Redemption 2, but holy fuck, this game's shooting is potentially some of the worst out there. The basics of it is to aim, shoot, aim, shoot, which is fine, but the way it handles is just horrific. You end up overshooting enemies, moving your reticle around like a madman around their head. It's so stiff and rigid, the aiming doesn't feel like there's any sort of motion to it. Oh, that's right. No, that's right. It's not bad gunplay, it just has realistic 1930s recoil, of course. Of course, that answers everything. That's what it is. Look at that realistic 1930s recoil. That's why. Obviously. Oh, I'm such a dumb fuck. What you don't understand is this is what gunfights look like in 1930. You won't understand, you weren't born yet. This is what it looked like when you died in 1930, guys. It's just realistic, guys. Not to mention the enemies are damage sponges who just soak up your bullets. Meanwhile, you take 3 shots and you're dead. Being hard is one thing, but being annoyingly difficult is another. The gunplay doesn't feel satisfying. It doesn't feel rewarding. The moment-to-moment gameplay of it doesn't feel smooth. You feel stuck in cover taking cheap shots for ages because the actual movement and shooting mechanics are so wooden, it doesn't make it fun. Far from it. And on the topic of combat, the hand-to-hand combat is, well, I mean...
No, you did it! That hurts.
I don't know about you, but I'm looking at this and I'm not seeing any problems. There's just no weight to it. It's slow, it looks clunky, the animations are just so poor, and it's a mess in all honesty. You cannot look at what I'm showing you and feel impressed, which is really what a remake is supposed to do.
Yeah, we got that nice and good.
Did I, though? I didn't really, though, did I? Oh, no, yeah, no, it just caught on fire because there was a fire in it. Yep. And then you've got general movement. There's no flow at all between your animations. Running, jumping, climbing, landing. It's all just basic, rigid animations that play whenever they feel like it, and there's no transitions between them. It looks dreadful, and not what I expect from a game coming out in 2020. It's strange because on the surface, the game looks like it came out this year, but it plays like it came out 18 years ago, and that's an issue. Gameplay is core to a video game experience, and the gameplay here is just so simplistic. It plays like an old arcade game and doesn't feel enjoyable. The basic pop out of cover and shoot gunplay, the uninspired level design, the movement being clunky and stubborn, especially in interiors, and the hand-to-hand combat looking like Grand Theft Auto 3 just adds to the lacking feeling of this entire experience. A topic that never fails to roll people up is that of bugs. Now, before all of the "I never got any bugs, it's a perfect game" comments start to roll in, let's explain what I'm talking about. The foundation of this game is buggy. Now, I'm not talking about game-breaking glitches or one-off bugs, I'm talking about the fact that the game from the offset is built badly. Using the Mafia 3 engine, it kind of makes sense. For a start, textures always seem to be the wrong level of distance model. When you look at people's faces or objects, the renders are so low quality it's strange. Textures look muddy and blurred, and it's all an issue across this game. It's almost like these things are supposed to be viewed from a distance, and when close up they should be better, but they just never load in. They remain these muddy, faraway textures, and it's not nice to look at. Not to mention the fact that the actual render distance of objects, buildings, foliage looks terrible. The city skyline can never look magnificent because it's never loaded in properly. It looks like a PS2 game for the most part, and the textures just do not load on the models. The grass also pops in as you're driving in the country right before your eyes, and sometimes entire city blocks, people, and lampposts will just pop in out of nowhere because this game is so poorly optimized and entirely unpolished. Way to the back. Oh, look at those guys just fucking spawned in. 3 of the same guy. Oh, yeah, wow. It's 3 of the same. Oh, my God, look at them all. They're all the same woman. Oh, the pavement just spawned in. What's going on, gamers? Whee! I'm gonna get fucking banned off of YouTube for that.
Yeah, we got trouble. All available.
Good afternoon, sir.
Not to mention the fast movement can also stop shadows from loading in, but this is also the case in a multitude of cutscenes, and it gives me proper Mafia 3 vibes. The fact that this game has been shipped like this is abysmal, and this is not the quality we should be expecting from products that we've paid for. Let's talk a little bit about the world. I know it's just a backdrop, and sure, they were trying to be as faithful as they could to the original as possible, but there are issues here. Sure, it can look lovely at night in the rain, you've got me, that looks nice as fuck, but the problem is with things like the population density. The city feels dead, there is barely any traffic, NPCs are few and far between, and the world just doesn't feel alive. It feels empty, and it's not the most enjoyable place to traverse given it's got no sense of vibrancy or vitality to it. Of course there's no side content, but that's to be expected. I mean, I'd argue if you're remaking a game, this is your opportunity to fix things that the original did badly, such as giving the world side content and purpose beyond being a backdrop, but whatever, I guess. The actual atmosphere is dependent on what you're doing. The world can feel nice when you're driving in the rain, but then it can also feel lacking, such as this party from after the race mission. There's music and there's general chatter, but none of the chatter is real. You can't walk up to people and hear more of what they're saying because they're not really saying anything. It's just ambient chatter that's not actually coming from anywhere in the world. And it's corner cutting like this that plagues a lot of what could have made this game really good. I know people want to hear it, so let's just talk about some of the good things. I've already said the driving, I really like it, and I could do it all day. I won't, but I could. The soundtrack is really good. It gives off proper Godfather, Goodfellas, Mafia vibes. Big fan of that. The acting is superb, and it really brings the poor script to life a bit more. The story itself might be lacking, but the acting is really wonderful. And the world itself, although empty and dead at times, can look really nice, and I can see that they were close to achieving something here. All in all, the game is close to being good. I'm not saying that every aspect is bad, I'm just saying that almost every part of this game has issues, and what that does is create one singular bad product. If you have a house and every window has a crack in it, those individual small cracks don't ruin those particular windows, but together they do bring down the overall quality of your house. So what I'm trying to say, in a really roundabout way, is that the shooting, the movement, the textures, the lighting, the narrative beats, the animations alone aren't necessarily the worst things in the world, but the fact that each of them have quite a few issues individually make the overall product a mess. Given a good few months more time, this game could have been a hell of a lot better. A lot of these issues could have been ironed out, but I feel the biggest letdown is that this game doesn't try anything new. It didn't want to be a remake, it wanted to be a re-release with new visuals, and that was just never going to cut it. If they ever take Mafia 2 and remake it the way they did with this, I would love to see it reinvented. How can you add to the story and characters? How can you improve mission design? How can you improve the open world? And how could you make it in the current year, rather than being so dead set on recreating a game that already exists? That's why Final Fantasy VII Remake nailed it, and Mafia Definitive Edition sadly did not. Well, thanks guys for joining me for this video. Originally I wasn't even going to make a video on the Mafia Remake, but after streaming it and finishing it, which I'll link down in the description by the way, I streamed the whole thing over on Lasers Live if you want to know my thoughts as I was going through it, but after streaming it, I just had too much to say that I couldn't not make a video. I had to sit down and make this, and I'm glad that I did. I know a lot of people are going to be mad about this, but I think a lot of people will probably agree as well. Maybe some people that are in between. I know a lot of people that showed up to my stream said they were planning on buying it, but weren't too sure after Mafia 3, and they didn't know if they wanted to spend the money, especially since there's so many games coming out, and so they tuned into my stream to see what the game was like, and a lot of people were swayed one way or the other, and maybe this video can help do the same, but I'm interested to know what you people think. Comment down in the comments. Did you enjoy this? Did you not enjoy it? Can you see the issues I've talked about, or do you just not care about them? Like, what was your experience of this game like? And also, if anyone's played it on PC, let me know a bit more in depth what it's like there, because I know Ethan has said that there's a lot less of these issues that I've talked about on PC. Obviously, the core issues are still there, and obviously it depends on whether you care about it or not, but that's always been interesting to me. What is the PC version like? Because it seems this is one of the rare times where the PC version's actually leaks better than the console version, and maybe I'll have to give it a try just to see exactly what it's like over on that platform, but probably not going to do that anytime soon, especially given the fact that I didn't really like sort of the basis of the game in general, but maybe that'll be something to do down the line, I don't know. But let me know. Thanks to everybody over on Patreon. Thank you to everybody supporting the channel recently. I'll see you guys very soon for my big Hearts of Stone video. This should be coming out before that, but that'll be a big one, and I'm very, very excited to put that out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all of that good bits and pieces and things, and I'll see you guys very soon for another video. Catch you later. Goodbye.